They knew they were going to get big waves coming in.
It's a little disconcerting, too, recognizing how close they are and also recognizing the power of the waves that can actually, you know, pull you back out into the water.
That's one of the dangers, the wave coming, knocking you down, and then bringing you back with it as it goes back into the water, back into the ocean.
Scary stuff.
And they were holding each other down. Did you see the 3 people holding that one?
Just
or 2
for
people
dear life.
holding,
Yeah.
Crazy.
It is pretty crazy. All right, those were the videos, the top 5 videos. Thank you very much, Nick Walker, Jennifer Lopez. Certainly appreciate it. Now let's talk about another big story we've been following, and that is just this huge change in seasons. Been dealing with this last week, snow in Rapid City. 4 days ago, snow was coming down in a big way, and it's still summertime. It's still summer right now. And you don't want to, plan for the cold weather because it's going to get hot again. Even though there was some snow last week, you're going to need those flip-flops again before you know it. Approaching 90 degrees this week. So from snow to the 9-0, Jennifer.
That's right. A big turnaround coming. Summer is making its way back into the high plains. And we're going to be thinking, remember a week ago it was snowing? That's what we're going to say this Thursday when you see the high temperatures.
The best you probably do is a snow cone.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You'll probably want something to cool you off. So let's talk about the temperatures and the conditions that are expected here. And it's going to be a big turnaround for the high plains as we are going to be finding the temperatures really starting to go back up. And again, it was back on last Thursday when we had more than 1.5 inches of snow, but that is going to be history. As we look ahead, this is actually what we saw back then. We saw the jet stream dropping down that cooler air, helping to create some of that snow. Well, we're going to flip-flop that. The warm air is going to retreat, or it's going to come back northward and push that jet stream back up into Canada, and the temperatures are going to be into the upper 80s. Upper or 88 by Thursday. You can see the average high is around 77. And it's going to be warm across the high plains. Not so fast, though, for the rest of the Midwest. We are still finding the cooler conditions across this area, and that jet stream doesn't want to lift until the end of the week. So Chicago, although you're going to be seeing more sunshine tomorrow, your temperatures only up into the middle 60s. St. Louis, you'll hit the 70s by Wednesday, and we will notice a gradual warm up here. By the weekend, we're back up into the 80s here across St. Louis, a little bit above average for your Saturday, but until then, we hang on to 66, but with more sunshine for tomorrow. Chris?
Jennifer, thank you. Hurricane Odile may be losing strength, but it is still interesting and worth watching. And it isn't just the damage that's left behind in its wake. We're going to go in depth and break down what unique aspects of Odile's formation, has weather enthusiasts talking about this thing. Why this is so intriguing for meteorologists.
For the year. Hi, sorry, just want to say I bundled home an auto with State Farm, saved $760. Love this guy. So sorry.
Okay, does it bother anybody else that the mime is talking? Freaky.
Savings worth talking about. State Farm.
To remove this spaghetti stain, let's compare an entire tub of OxiClean to just a half a cup of Clorox bleach. Okay. How is that called clean? Clorox. Eliminates stains better than OxiClean.
I'm Creek Stewart, Weather Channel survival expert. Every Sunday night, we're taking 3 regular guys deep into the woods.
Are you serious?
Where we'll teach them not just to survive,
Show make fire,
but how to truly live.
Look at this caveman.
Show yourself what you're made of on Weather Channel Survival Sundays. At 9, it's So You Think You'd Survive. Then at 10, Fat Guys in the Woods. Every Sunday night on the Weather Channel.
Are you ready?
Off the couch, into the weather.
Currently in our area, 84 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Tonight, cloudy intervals, low 76. Winds east-southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tuesday, partly cloudy with an afternoon shower or thunderstorm. High 88. Chance of rain 40%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Introducing Dance All You Want Bladder Leak Protection from the experts in feminine protection. New Always Discreet underwear for sensitive bladders. Only Always Discreet underwear has soft, dual leak guard barriers to help stop leaks where they happen most. Plus, a discreet fit that hugs your curves. You barely feel it. New Always Discreet. Now bladder leaks can feel like no big deal because, hey, pee happens. Visit alwaysdiscreet.com for coupons and your free sample.
I get goosebumps when I find a low price. I let him know every time I save $1.
Every time.
Now there's a tool made for you. Introducing Savings Catcher from Walmart. It compares prices to top stores in your area.
No more driving all over town.
If there's a lower advertised price, Walmart will give you the difference on an e-gift card.
Oh, money! Every penny counts.
Yep. Try the Savings Catcher for yourself. Go to walmart.com/savingscatcher and enter your receipt. Save money, live better. Walmart.
Who says desirable can't also be responsible? With 46 standard safety features, the Lexus RX is proof that fun can be good for you. This is the pursuit of perfection.
Pillsbury knows that bold, bright color makes everything more exciting. Like these 4 amazing colors of...
When you compare the top speed of DSL from the phone company with the top speed of Comcast Business Internet, well, there's really no comparison. Why pay more for less? Call today for a low price on speeds up to 150 megabits per second. And find out more about our 2-year price guarantee. Comcast Business, built for business.
Can your DVR record all your favorite shows at once?
It only records, I think, 2 shows at a time.
And you can't change a channel.
No, I hate having to make the decision, which one am I going to let go?
With Xfinity, record 4 shows at the same time and watch a 5th live.
This is amazing.
So now everything's basically on your schedule.
I don't have to miss any shows.
You can get used to this, right?
I'm already used to it.
Never miss your favorites. Upgrade to an Xfinity X1 Triple Play from Comcast and save when you bundle TV, internet, and voice. See for yourself. Call 1-800-XFINITY today.
6603. For a free brochure, call 1-800-571-6603.
The wildest weather ever caught on camera.
Oh my God!
Tonight, tomorrow night, every weeknight. Wild weather at 8. Coming up next.
Right now, it's time to get your Learn On in the lab with Lowry. A lot to talk about right now, some interesting stuff, so pay attention, and we're going to walk you through it.
Yeah, it's a tongue twister there, Chris. Hey, I want to start with the hurricane hunters. They were flying into Odile yesterday. I have a friend of mine that was on board the aircraft yesterday, Chris, and this is what they were seeing from the airplane. They have a radar on the bottom of the airplane, and this is looking down on the storm literally as they're flying into it yesterday.
And this is a picture of their instruments,
This is a picture of the instrument on the plane, and none of us have access to that on the ground here. They only have access to that in the air.
So the radar and the display in or on the airplane?
On the airplane.
On the airplane, and then the display's inside.
Because we don't have access to radar, land-based radar, because it's out over the open ocean. So the plane has to actually fly into the storm to
bring its radar with them.
To get that photograph, yeah. So he sent this to me in the overnight hours. Go back to this. I want to show you what's happening around the center of the hurricane. See the black area, the black circle? That's the eye. The calm, cloud-free area right there in the middle of the hurricane. And on the edge of that, Chris, the ring of red, that's the eye wall right around the storm where the strongest of the winds and the worst of the weather is. But what I want to point out what's unique about this is there's a second ring, another ring of red around that one.
So kind of like this, right?
Right. So a bigger ring of red.
Yeah, it's a bigger ring. It's like 2 C's facing each other. One regular C and one backward C.
You kind of have to squint a little bit, but imagine sort of close that second ring off, that C. You can close that, and that's the second eye wall.
Okay.
So there are 2 eye walls on this hurricane, which is a bit unusual. Hurricanes usually only have 1 eye wall, but when they get to this strength, as Odile was, they can have 2. And then that has implications on how strong the storm ultimately becomes.
All right, now we talk about, show us what you're dealing with here, the wind pressure and the winds, right?
Yeah, so there's 2 lines that you're looking at here. The hurricane hunters, when they're flying through the hurricane, they're measuring the pressure in the storm and they're measuring the wind in the storm. So this is what you're seeing on this trace. The blue line here is the pressure. The plane's flying along, the pressures are pretty high, then it gets to the center of the hurricane and the pressure just drops to about 920 millibars, bottoming out right here at the middle of the hurricane, and then they come out of the eye and the pressures come up. So that's the blue line. The green line that you're seeing here are the winds, and the winds do the opposite of the pressure. The pressure's going down, the winds are coming up. There's sort of an inverse relationship there between the 2. So moving along the wind axis here, notice how the winds, right as you get toward the eye of the hurricane, they come up and they sort of peak out right before they get into the eye of the hurricane. But look how they ramp down here to basically calm right at the middle of the hurricane.
It's the one exception to the inverse relationship.
It's the one exception, right.
Yeah.
Everything else, if you just sort of average this out, shows that the winds are coming up. They go down, they get on the other side of the eye, and then the winds kick up right again. But one really interesting thing about this is you're seeing 2 peaks here. You got an inner peak and you have an outer peak on either side of the eye.
And does that correlate with the picture that you were showing us?
And that correlates what we were seeing.
Okay.
So those 2 rings, the 2 eye walls, those are the 2 peak winds that you're seeing on the outside of the hurricane. Now, all of this, Chris, has implications on the storm and how strong it ultimately became. So let's talk a little bit about that for a minute. Here's that inner eye wall. This is looking through the clouds using our special microwave satellite, looking underneath the clouds, almost like an MRI of the hurricane. The inner ring here, all right, this is yesterday morning, Sunday morning, and then you have that outer ring. So the stronger winds really at this point are in the inner part of this hurricane, but the outer eye wall, when that forms, it effectively chokes off that inner eye wall. It doesn't allow that warm, moist air that's flowing into the hurricane to help sustain that inner eye wall.
Sort of rob it?
It robs it.
Yeah.
And so what happens to the inner eye wall is it begins to just fade away. Fast forward to yesterday afternoon, all of a sudden, you don't really see this inner eye wall anymore. You see just the outer eye wall. When this happens, the winds can come down temporarily in the hurricane, and that's exactly what happened. It went from 135 mile per hour category 4 to 125 mile per hour category 3. Not a huge change, and we generally don't see a huge change, but a little bit of a downward trend in the intensity. But it can be fooling because if the inner eye wall, once it collapses in and it sort of weakens a little bit, that new eye wall takes shape and that begins to pull in. And when that happens, it begins to intensify again. It re-intensifies. And this was happening right as it was moving toward Cabo San Lucas. During the evening hours, notice this new eye wall here sort of collapsing in and then the winds picking up. So it actually was intensifying, worst case scenario here for Cabo San Lucas.
All right, Michael Lowry, thank you very much. Coming up, we're going to let you know the areas we're watching for severe weather.
Currently in our area, 84 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Tonight, cloudy intervals, low 76. Winds east-southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tuesday, partly cloudy with an afternoon shower or thunderstorm. High 88. Chance of rain 40%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
I'm Nick Walker. I want to show you what we're watching as we head through the evening hours. A lot of thunderstorms across the deep south tonight, and those thunderstorms have created a water spout right along the shorelines here of Florida in Escambia County, so to the south of Pensacola here. A water spout reported and a tornado warning in effect. Sometimes these water spouts move inland and can do damage, so this tornado warning until about 7:30. We'll continue to see lots of thunder and lightning here in southern Georgia, northern Florida, Waycross to Brunswick, Brunswick to Fernandina Beach. And look at the heavy rain just sitting over this area right now. We could see some flash flooding problems as we get through the next couple of hours. Rain moving into the Atlanta area, staying mostly south of the city. No severe weather there expected, but we are seeing the beginnings of problems here around the southwest. We're priming the pump for flooding here. Thunderstorms are already occurring, and with all of that moisture coming up ahead of Odile, we could see that threat again.
Hurricanes are a fact of life in coastal cities. But Hurricane Irene wreaks havoc miles inland, turning small creeks into raging rivers and catching thousands of residents off guard.
Flash flooding is going to be a major problem for a big area.
Follow the path of destruction from inside the storm, block by block and minute by minute. On a washed-out highway, a state trooper risks it all to save a man clinging to a tree.
I didn't know what I was going to do, but I had to do something.
In a town overrun by a rain-swollen creek, two brothers brave dangerous waters to rescue their parents.
That was the hardest steps I've ever taken in my life.
And in a flooded forest, firefighters race to rescue a group of teenagers after they've been thrown into churning waters.
We don't have our life jackets. This isn't a joke anymore.
Experience the most dangerous hurricanes on the planet, as if you were there, caught in the eye of the storm. This is Hurricane 360. August 27th, 2011, 5 p.m. Piles Grove, New Jersey, a small town 54 miles northwest of Atlantic City. Towns this far inland are not accustomed to dealing with the full effects of hurricanes, but forecasters warn that an approaching storm could be a monster. State Trooper Daniel Cunning is called in for duty.
We knew a storm was coming that was going to be pretty much a direct hit on New Jersey.
We're not really used to that kind of weather, so we were all watching the forecast throughout the week as it approached.
Cunning's wife, Abigail, asks him to help prepare the house for the storm.
Instead, he felt the need to leave to go and obtain this rope.
Cunning leaves early to retrieve a rope he had left at his mother's house.
I knew there was potential for an issue that involved water, and I wanted to be prepared for it.
I figured they would have enough rescue equipment at work that he wouldn't need to have his own things with him, but he felt differently, and as it turned out, he was right.
1 week earlier, August 20th, 2011, a storm system gathers strength in the Atlantic Ocean. The National Hurricane Center names it Irene.
Let's talk now about Hurricane Irene, of course, in the Caribbean.
And we think the storm has a lot of potential to get stronger. This could be devastating.
In the 3 weeks before Irene hits, rainstorms have saturated the soil in New Jersey with more than 16 inches of rain, leaving no room for the water to be absorbed and drain away naturally. Hurricane Irene makes landfall on August 27th. In the next 2 days, the storm will dump an additional 10 inches of rain over parts of New Jersey, turning rivers and creeks into raging torrents.
Flash flooding is going to be a major problem for a big area.
1:30 a.m., just outside Piles Grove. A roadside stream has become a raging river, flooding part of Route 40 and the surrounding woods with rushing water. Emergency personnel are searching the water for a car in response to a frantic 911 call.
We received a 911 call. There was a stranded motorist. She had stated that she had been swept off the road, that her vehicle was filling with water, and that currently the water was up to her chin. And at that point, the phone call was cut off.
The troopers can find no sign of the woman who called 911.
I waded into the water as far as I could. And at that point, it was pretty clear that I wasn't going to make it much further.
This river that was flowing through here was a couple hundred yards wide, and it was really deep, and I had no idea where to even begin looking for this poor girl.
700 yards away, 68-year-old James Troy drives along Route 40, unaware of the danger ahead.
Well, I knew there was a relatively small hurricane, minimum, coming up the coast. So I figured I'll take Route 40. Chances are it won't be flooded as bad. I come around a curve, and 4 of the biggest headlights I've ever seen in my life were looking right at me.
Blinded by the lights, Troy drives headlong into the flooded creek.
The next thing I know, it's coming up over my hood.